trying as quickly as they can to lock down some of these level 2 now going in. Kanavi, good damage down onto Guma. Ruler flashing out of safety, ticking and burning, but he will stay standing. Missing! Gets taken down! Keria! A godly play! Might go for the 50-50, but it's absolutely Psycho flashes over the arrow! FLICKR goes in! My God! What an engage from T1! TP coming in, FLICKR looking to make the play, he gets Ruler! Oner goes in! And again, the combos are clean, the hostile takeover is damn well hostile! T1 and the clutch are too damn clean!
Unbelievable. It is FLICKR and T1 on match point after what was a very dicey game. And Azale, we've just been nerding out ever since that last play happened, right?
As soon as this play happened, all I could think of was the 2017 play we showed at the beginning of the day. Ruler flashing and ulting on Varus, catching FLICKR, ending the World Finals. This is the shoe on the other foot, and we should just run them back to back. This is a 2017 World Finals match point for Samsung. Ruler flash ults, catches FLICKR, they kill him, they end the game off of it. Fast forward, we can move into the next one even, and it's gonna be 2023 today to push them one game away. Match point now for T1 to move to the World Finals. It's FLICKR catching Ruler. The shoe is on the other foot. This is history between these two legends.
What did we see in the teaser? Ruler saying, our road is inevitable. FLICKR saying, remember, Ruler, all roads lead to me.
And I think also we talked about JDG's team fighting, right? And how well they layer CC. Oner on these secondary follow-up engages with the Rel, or primary engages with the Rel, with the rest of the team following up, has been really, really on point, and you saw it in that team fight as well.
And it wasn't easy because the Wukong was actually quite strong.
Yeah, I think the Wukong was doing an awful lot of work out trying to, one, control the early stages of the game, but when you look at those team fights, I mean, Oner, incredible, flashing over the Ashe arrow, getting in towards the Azir ult. It's like FLICKR, multiple times the Azir ults were making the difference. I think it was absolutely incredible to see just how strong T1 were taking what JDG are famous for and matching them at that.
Yeah, it was hard for JDG to play it out, and you said it already, Oner every second counts, and thanks to the reliable Cisco network, Oner finds the perfect engage in the river to take down Knight and Missing.
Yeah, this was absolutely unbelievable. We have a telestrator through it, so we're just gonna roll right into it. But this was amazing. The split-second decision-making here from Oner is really what you have to watch. So eyes on Oner here in the middle of the fight. We're gonna roll this out. As JDG, we're all screaming, T1 need to back off. JDG are chipping Oner down. Oner's gonna die here. Knight finds this really good angle for the ulti, sections him off. Oner's getting really low. All of T1 is bottled up back here, and you're thinking, all right, this is JDG's dragon. T1 cannot overstay. But then right this moment here, arrow gets fired out, and Oner does not panic. The man flashes over it in a world semifinals.
So
Are you kidding me? Flashes over it, and watch the engage. Plus the follow-up here. FLICKR wraps around. Everyone comes in from T1. This was mind-blowing stuff.
This is my Roman Empire.
This is insane. Look, this one's gonna live rent-free in my head for so long. The engage from Oner was the stuff of legends. FLICKR with the follow-up, and Keria with the 5-man ulti. It's just like chef's kiss, perfect team fight.
Yeah, and we talked a bit, again, at the beginning of the play, how FLICKR is engaging, Oner is following up. Here we see Oner flashing over the Ashe arrow to get the engage.
Crazy.
FLICKR and Keria following up. And I cannot stress enough how much this player struggled in summer, especially with FLICKR out. Oner was bearing the brunt of all of the criticism and hate that T1 were receiving in a lot of these games because he looked so bad in some of them. To see him have the wherewithal to come out and do this kind of play is awesome.
It's crazy, just the presence of mind in that moment. We're going into game 4 with T1 on match point, and JDG have selected the blue side. I'd like to pull up the drafts that we've seen so far and just think of where this could go. And in general, though, I do think we also need to keep top of mind that for a long time in this game, JDG was actually doing really well in hard situations, in difficult executions. They weren't out of this game. It actually needed that play from T1. So what are we thinking for game 4?
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing across these drafts is, again, we were talking about, okay, is JDG going to try to contest this kind of like pushing bot lane that we've seen from T1. And here they did, and some of that was just execution-based, right? Because I actually didn't mind how JDG played this out. They set up really, really well off of the level 1 for that bot lane, like we've been seeing from T1 in some of the previous games in this series. So I'm really curious for the next draft if we're still going to be seeing these lanes, because they've now lost twice on red side.
Yeah, I think the super interesting one for me as well is like what red side 5 is being used for. The Alistar, not the best of picks in this last spot. When you look towards the Alistar there, you're counterpicking yourself with the Alistar. Top lane. We highlighted so much coming into this, how that support counterpick was going to matter massively, and the Renata was huge in these scenarios. When you look at the Senna coming in to match the Ashe and the Caitlyn, these are the picks that are actually defining the blue side and working out so well.
And we've been saying at the beginning of the day, is it going to come back to bite them that JDG picked red, going under the assumption that the red side was stronger because of those last best of 5s we saw? Maybe it isn't the case. Azale, what do you think? Is T1 going to close the deal here, or are we going to game 5?
I think T1 is going to close it out. I think they are playing so incredibly well, you know, from the position that they were in. I think that they use red side a lot better, and I don't think that it's so blue side favored that blue side just automatically wins.
I think, especially with the way the Team 1 are fighting, it's very hard for JDG to come back. Team 1 are beating JDG at their own game, and they look better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big thing, right? Is, again, because we talked about, okay, JDG are trying to match. They set up really well off the level 1 for this Varus Ashe lane. But then the way T1 won was mid to late game team fighting with FLICKR and Oner getting that play in mid, right, onto Ruler. So, like, I definitely think that T1 have shown that they are a multifaceted team. They are not just a team that has to play these pushing bot sides. They have a lot of really good answers, and they have the presence of mind to pull off these 5v5 fights in the mid to late game.
We have to talk about what it means for these teams, because this is a potential end of the golden road for JDG, the team most likely to ever have done it. And T1 on the other side, they are now one step away from another finals.
I love that you brought it up. They're not going to let it go so easily, JDG. I am sure, or will it be T1 to another world final?
That's a damn good question, and I have no idea, but I am hyped. This series has absolutely delivered. That game 3 was a banger. There is no other word for it.
They are playing on a razor's edge, on a knife's edge right here with some of these plays, these engages, and we are being treated to some of the best League of Legends you will ever see. FLICKR, so deep into his career, after all these years, can still just win a semifinals game just like that, flashing on Ruler, making the big play. And one of the big things about Champ Select coming into this game after that is that given over the Azir and FLICKR having such a big impact there, one of the biggest aberrations in champion pools on either of these teams is that Knight has not played it all year long. He simply does not like the champion. He has played it in previous years, but none this year at all. And that plus the Rel have been the two biggest factors.
Oh, yeah, and that was what I was wondering about, because Oner has been pivotal, right? Like, his individual play on the Rel has been absolutely exceptional. Coming into the quarterfinals in particular, I still had a lot of questions about his champion pool. After the Maokai game, I feel like those are still warranted, but his Poppy and his Rel have been exceptional. The key thing here for JDG is that I'm wondering if we're going to have a trade Jarvan for Orianna, and right now, that's what it's looking like with the Kalista ban.
Certainly is. Taking the time here.
If you give over Orianna, there's no way you want to also give them the Jarvan. The combo,
you have to pick it.
The combo is just too good. Have to seal that one away. They could then get FLICKR his Azir again into the Orianna if they wanted to grab it first, or they could go for a support or a jungle pick here.
Dangerous position JDG put themselves in.
The Vi and the Jarvan are two of the combos that you usually play with Orianna.
And Oner looks damn clean throughout the entire tournament on the Jarvan. Part of the reason we've seen it taken away so frequently. Is it something that T1 want to prioritize here? Are they comfortable taking another side of the matchup? The Rel was ultimately the ban from JDG, given how comfortable Oner had been on it, but there is the J4, unsurprisingly.
You got to pick it away. I also think that J4 with his ultimate makes going or trying to opt into really aggressive 2v2 bot lanes with immobile carries a lot riskier. His ultimate can be such a powerful tool when you're playing things like, for example, a Varus.
So they could replace the Jarvan pick here on the side of JDG with the Vi and still have that guaranteed engage, that shockwave delivery system. Gumayusi's been so good on the Varus. He's combined with Keria for so many aggressive pushing lanes with it. They have a chance to break that up, the Ashe Varus that has been their go-to combo, but Keria's got plenty in his bag. He can dig deep for other things as well.
Baiting. Kanavi locking the Bel'Veth. So many dashes to dodge the Jarvan EQ, favored very often in the 1v1.
It also really emphasizes level 1s and level 1 invades and looking at Raptor steals. So now we're also even keeping that in mind, level 1 compositions as we go into the possibly final game here.
Additionally, we do see that Zeus will not be allowed to play Aatrox in this one. And now T1 are faced with an option. Do you want to pick something for Zeus so that you can try and pressure 369 in his position? Or are they going to leave it and have the risk of his pool being pinched?
So JDG are actually in a bit of a pinch here for the Aatrox because Zeus on his Smurf has been playing Graves, which we saw a really strong counter to it already. I wonder if they're going to ban away the Graves to protect Aatrox here. Some other counter picks to it that are pretty rarely seen are like the Fiora, the Camille sometimes used as well. See what they want to protect 369 with, because Zeus has definitely been one of the big advantages that they can utilize here. They're more worried about the Ashe comparison that we were talking about with the Varus.
Yeah. And I think Zeus, obviously player, not afraid to take these more volatile matchups. Busted out the Jace, a champion where you need to snowball, you need to press your leads. Did a fantastic job doing so in the quarterfinals. See if he goes for something similarly volatile in match point scenario. Ashe banned away for now. Again, it seems like just trying to limit the potential of this bottom lane to get free bot lane prio in the early game. Renata also taken off the board.
And I wouldn't be surprised if T1 keep hidden what Keria is going to do. Because let's not forget, it was Varus support specifically that Keria put out, after which he said, please don't do this. You are not Keria. Your teammates are not T1. You should not try this at home. That is also a Zeus special into the Aatrox specifically, and would set up a terrifying wombo combo.
Yes. He's doing it! Forget the Graves, we're going all in. The Yone. So they've got Jarvan plus Yone initiation here to set up for it. So much CC on the side of T1. It's going to make playing Bel'Veth so difficult here. I mean, Bel'Veth relies so much on being able to tank damage with the E and have more isolated fights and skirmishes. Ooh. But every member on T1 has ways to interrupt the Bel'Veth E.
And I am concerned for JDG right now because Zeri is not a strong champion in the early stages of the game. Varus is a notorious lane bully, and you've just given the freedom to Keria to counterpick your support pretty effortlessly. Lulu good, obviously, but can be outclassed by a lot of the ranged options. And Caitlyn, while not a traditional support, is one of them.
I mean, we still don't know who's playing what. Like, given that it's Gumayusi, yeah, it's going to be the Bard instead. And let's not forget, it was this Zeri pick specifically that got Ruler his first LCK win back in 2022. It was when Zeri was at the height of her powers, and this is a champion he is insanely comfortable with. Kanavi still undefeated on the Bel'Veth. This is what JDG has pulled out to try and deny T1 access to the finals.
Even though JDG are on the blue side this time around, that has won all of the games, it seems a little iffy here. They do need to scale into this game, whereas T1 have a lot of playmaking options here. Aggressive lanes locked in, both in bottom lane and in top lane. And Oner got the premier ganking jungler of the patch, Jarvan. Bel'Veth, though, can get some pretty good level 1 leads if you can go for a level 1 play, if you can steal away some Raptors. We will see.
A lot of pressure on JDG, no doubt, opting for scaling, something that has done so well for them domestically and even internationally. Not surprising, but T1's roster and the lineup that they have opted for in Champ Select is incredibly, incredibly explosive. Strong on the level 1. Bard and Varus with the Halo Blades, incredibly oppressive if you do want to fight level 1. This is going to be a tricky puzzle to try to solve from the side of JDG to bring us to a Game 5.
And to me, Kanavi is going to be the key. He is the one that needs to be the bridge for JDG towards that mid to late game, where I still think the T1 comp has a lot of power, but that is where this composition from JDG is going to shine. When Knight and Ruler are hitting 1-2 items, they can single-handedly win fights. We've seen them do it countless times, and they have no choice at this point.
Keria walking in, getting a little bit of early chip damage. Rain of arrows coming down as well, just to follow that up. Ruler should just be able to back here, not a big deal. A bit more money in the back pocket of Keria. I imagine he gets all 3 stacks there, so probably can go back, opt for a pot if he so chooses. No, control.
Kanavi definitely a very good Bel'Veth player. Played a lot of games of it, and their eyeballs are on those Raptors we're talking about. But T1, well aware, trying to defend, should be able to do so. Keria's even made a recall. Look at the Bard coming down mid lane. Keria's kind of hovering at the mid ground here, just in case JDG were to make a hard push. But of course, with full vision, we know that the JDG bottom lane is down bottom, and so they're not going to go for the hard force on Raptors just yet.
No, the ideal world of starting enemy Raptors on Bel'Veth will be denied for now, at least. See what Kanavi can do to steal some of those away as we move later into the game. Early lane phase, have to see if JDG can get any priority here. Guma not opting for Hail of Blades, so not quite as keen to go for lane prio. Instead, trying to match the scaling that Ruler is going to bring to the table with the Zeri.
Yeah, going to be the lethal tempo and call as well. So him and Keria going to be very happy to just take it easy in this lane. And we have already seen against LNG what Guma can do on this very auto-attack focused Varus. As the early laning phase is going to be really big. Duno missing, going for the healer. Keria for the ignite. And both junglers expected to path towards the bot side of the map. Early level 2 is there for JDG though.
And for Oner, we know how impactful he can be in the early game. It has been a story of junglers pretty much across the entire series. But for Oner on this J4, a bit more pressure to make some of these early plays happen. Topside going well for Zeus here. Early levels for Aatrox difficult. Dark and Blade cooldown is simply so long that it's hard to find good opportunities to trade back. Zeus stacking the wave here. Not a lot of dive threat, but can go for the Q3 if he wants a bit of extra poke.
So tense here. With Zeus pushing in on top side, knowing both junglers pushing away from the top lane. Zeus getting a lot of harassment done under the tower even, using his aggressive E here as he's able to push up. Meanwhile though, bottom lane, supported by the junglers clearing down towards them. The Lulu Zeri early on, getting control of the minion wave. And being able to use that for their safety.
Yep. Might have a fight towards the early scuttle as well. We do see T1 already placed some vision down there. FLICKR, at least right now, will have priority, but we'll use that to go for a base instead. I don't know if Knight will actually let him, and we do see Missing and Ruler already trying to make their way over and ensure that Kanavi can get this early crab, and doesn't look like T1, at least for now, are winning. But FLICKR did get it back in, made his way back to the mid wave, but will be behind on the play.
Keria maybe just going to throw down a bit of poke. Cosmic Binding to hit Missing. Kanavi will grab the crab. Bel'Veth, incredibly strong early on in the game.
Yeah, pushing bottom lane allows JDG to come first as well. And he's going for the double here. We'll see about the meetup, because Oner also trying to get in position first. Can he get to the Pixel Brush and have control of vision? He gets the ward down in it. And he's got Smite as well, so he's got it.
Now, priority there for Zeus as well, who's first on the roam if they do try to force the objective. So instead, Scuttle Crab traded 1 for 1. Oner now turning his attention over to his Raptors. Zeus is just keeping this pressure up on the top side of the map.
And I want you to pay attention to the amount of vision that has been set up here, allowing Zeus to really play so aggressively with this Yone and try and generate leads, which with the Graves was exactly the same way that we've seen the Aatrox be dealt with before. As long as you are aware, and they have been doing a good job of tracking Kanavi, Zeus should be able to push to his heart's content.
Knight continuing to poke in the mid lane, but you're right. Control and support for Zeus in so many of these clutch scenarios, regardless of what champion he is playing, has been a hero and a standout for T1 this tournament. As Keria, for now, just denying Missing's back, has just enough mana for the Whimsy to take him out to safety.
And JDG and 369 have to be very careful this game, because if Zeus gets a lead this game, the Yone has a very easy time of getting set up by a Bard ultimate.
Missing, denied again. There's no kill angle here.
If Keria can land a Bard ultimate later, set him up for an easy Yone over the top, they can group
Keria might be the one in trouble. Journey comes out. Ruler going through.
Playing with him.
He can go over the wall.
Yeah, big thing here is that the wave state obviously is kind of rough. We'll see if Ruler is able to actually shove it in, but with the wave just now coming in, I don't think he will be able to without Missing. Might have to give up some CS here. One thing that is really big though, and I've seen a lot of Zeri games come out, as I think Zeus actually went for the...
he did. He went for the Fate
yeah.
Seal. He completely whiffed. Looked like a nice side step from 369. No flash burn means pretty favorable trade.
But no one on T1 is 100% secure in locking down this Zeri, right? There's no Nautilus, there's no Vi, and that is something that Ruler in the past, particularly with the shielding that he's going to get from Knight, from Missing, has been able to utilize insanely well. It was, of course, a different era of Zeri. Don't quite have as much agency as you did back then, as Keria going for a play, but Will got spotted on the ward.
Kanavi coming in. Oner waiting in the darkness. Don't want to commit to the play there.
They gotta know.
They're late on the bot lane roam. Yes, Keria gets out of lane, but for now, Guma forced to just catch that CS. FLICKR waiting as long as he can, trying to hold on to the shifting sands. Turning their attention to the bottom lane. Guma only level 5. Keria.
The short tunnel.
Yeah, if you've ever played Bard, that's a classic. That's the little stubby guy right there. Not going to do much. That's why you normal cast and don't smart cast the Bard portal.
It's the dragon nub. You just get a little...
Do note, there are no teleports for either top laner here, so if we do get a fight for this dragon, or at least for the scuttle, it will be exclusively between 4 versus 4.
Oner going in, decent bit of poke damage. Just the EQ as well as the Iron Spike Whip. No level 6 again.
Guma 6.
Keria flash to the wall, locking up Knight. It's a clean play. Flag drag, flash forward. Committing on Knight. The shockwave now coming in. FLICKR turning it right back. First blood. Everybody getting out. That's a one hell of a magical journey. They'll get the kill back onto Oner, but now they're in enemy territory. Cosmic Binding is good, but here comes Kanavi. Locked up, nowhere for FLICKR to go, and JDG fire back, but Zeus on the top side going all in.
And
still.
Ruler is rich. Both of those kills going into the Zeri is exactly what JDG want. Get this Zeri super fed. You have the Lulu and the Orianna. Double supportive scaling here for the pentakill machine.
And it's specifically the stall from JDG that ends up being the big difference maker there. Guma doesn't initially join the fight when Keria goes in. And look at the heal and shockwave combo. Even with the flash, it's not enough. And it means that Guma doesn't actually hit his ult. JDG with the full health bars are able to cut off the escape. And Ruler getting fed on Zeri this early. I've seen countless times, and it does not end well for his opponents.
Yeah, that's about the worst possible thing that could happen if you're a T1 fan right now.
Oh, yeah.
Ruler Zeri getting ahead, definitely a big concern there. Able to go back and buy the noon. Quiver is now locked up. Fate Seal going to take him out to safety. 369 not able to get in front of it and stop the dash.
I like the call from JDG, you know, the full rotation up to the top side of the map, trying to play off of those 2 kills that they got so they can rush down Rift Herald for the Bel'Veth, use those Bel'Veth Voidlings for pushing along with the pop, and continue to snowball him.
It also takes away a lot of the power that Zeus was having in this isolated 1v1. Now Kanavi on the Bel'Veth got an early Herald. That's a best case scenario for JDG, and they're looking for more.
Zeus no ulti, very vulnerable if they do want to commit for the all-in, but Oner and Keria in the area. Right here beside him, level 6. Around the corner for Keria, but still needs a bit more. FLICKR over the wall, though, has been locked in by the Infernal Chains above and below. Coming up for the Bel'Veth. FLICKR in trouble. Not going to be able to get out of this one. The kill coming through for Kanavi.
Yeah, that's JDG territory. FLICKR walks right in, and they welcome him with open arms. Teleport down to the bottom side to even catch the minion wave down here for Knight. So JDG are able to take basically everything there. The only thing they had to give up was 1 turret plate to Guma.
You can see the continued play. JDG so badly want to use the early power of the Bel'Veth when the Herald goes down to try and get as much gold into the Zeri as humanly possible.
It's an incredibly heads-up play, not giving Ruler a laning phase. Instead, just focusing on finding all this gold in these favored lane scenarios. He doesn't have to go against the Varus, pulling further and further ahead. Standing on a ward currently. He's going to have the Q3. Doesn't look like he is going to go for it on the top side. He will. Canceling that one. Q3 can come out. He's only got a few more seconds of soul unbound, but Ruler will be able to just parkour his way out to safety.
Good jump there from Ruler. If Zeus hits that Q, he probably tries to follow up with the ult and then Keria there as well. But he jumps out. No damage dealt, no problem for them. Easy reset afterwards, and very comfortable early lead here for JDG. Not only is it the magnitude of the early lead with the gold here, but it's the concentration of it in the exact perfect spot.
Yes. Just continuously canceling these backs. Actually pretty disruptive to the side of JDG.
Yeah.
We're going to push one more wave. Stridebreaker now completed for Kanavi. He's very powerful. Oner still trailing behind. Doesn't have the luxury of the extra assist or kill. But Oner will start up the Drake. Focus on the Dragons has paid dividends for T1 in the entire bracket stage, excuse me.
And that is actually courtesy of Zeus, right? If Ruler and Missing are able to get their back in early, I think Ruler gets back, picks up his Storm Razor, and then T1 might not be able to get the Dragon. We'll be getting that though. Still think JDG is going to be very happy with how this early game has played out. Very early Storm Razor and call finish on Ruler. I think he was sitting at like a, 700 gold lead already this early on in the game on a pick that obviously scales insanely well. And early Drake is going to go to T1, but because it's so late, doesn't feel like Dragon stacking is going to be as easy as it was in the previous games.
Yeah, and JDG, their eyes are just set on Ruler's inventory. They're like, we get a couple items on the Zeri, and then we will be able to take over. So the price of giving up a couple of early dragons, they're not as worried about because they have confidence they can win those later dragon fights and even stop any stacking that T1 start early.
And while in the previous game, T1 had some phenomenal team fight execution, and do need that to lock down this Zeri. It's not something you want to have to rely on, these flawless engages. You want to be able to play things a bit more standard, a bit more by the book, and that's only going to get harder and harder as Ruler gets more items under his belt. Because we talk about the threat of JDG. They absorb your engage, they re-engage. That's Zeri in a nutshell. You go in on her, you don't kill her, she pushes ult, she kills your entire team.
And a really big thing for T1, I think, is trying to get someone in side lane ahead. And that's why so much attention has been paid towards Zeus. Because if he is unmatched inside, it gives you a pressure point to try and draw apart JDG. Because in the mid to late game, no one will be able to match this Yone in the 1v1. But if he doesn't actually get a meaningful lead, and JDG are able to maintain control of the game, get early objectives, then T1 is going to be stuck trying to 5v5, trying to actually contest for some of these dragons, some of these barons, and it'll make it a relatively straightforward task for JDG. Again, particularly with 9 on Orianna, which has been insane throughout this entire series, really the entire tournament, and then Ruler on a Lulu powered up Zeri.
Yeah, it's just a perfectly constructed comp here for the way that JDG like to play around their super carries. Meanwhile, T1 overloading topside as we get a teleport back to the tower from 369. Keria thinking about it. That's going to be all that they do up here.
Now, Zeus obviously pretty favored in the 1v1. Easy for him to kind of dictate when they do and do not trade, but hasn't been able to break that matchup open quite yet. Maybe it'll get easier once he completes that first item. Luden's now completed for FLICKR. The crown for Knight, again, aware that he needs to survive on side lane, potentially against someone as lethal as the Yone.
And yeah, facing Yone in the side lane is just a nightmare, even with Crown. It does take away, I think, particularly from the engage potential of someone like Oner, as Zeus, he needs to play this aggressive. And you see, again, we've talked about this earlier as well, but it still remains true. There is so much attempted vision here from T1 just to try and ensure that this Yone can get to a decent state in the game. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. Herald is going to be up in about 35 seconds, and I would expect both teams to heavily try and play towards that. For JDG, offers you an opportunity to get rid of Ruler even further ahead and break open that mid lane turret in particular. For T1, maybe that's the break that Zeus has been looking for.
Looking for that angle as Keria, again, just continues to be a nuisance here. Magical Journey takes him out to safety. Gumayusi just going to catch the wave in mid lane, so you can get priority here first. 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the Drake. Yes, 10 seconds left on the second Herald. JDG get prio here. Expect they're favored on the objective, and you can see the one strong point for T1 in this pretty rough early game is still Zeus on the top side, on the Yone. Going to continue to track what he can get done with his lead.
Constantly moving in, getting some turret plate money for himself, getting that pressure down for T1.
The vision.
But here it comes. Rift Herald's been started. T1 are here. Teleports are ready for both FLICKR and Knight.
TB coming to the mid lane from Knight. TB coming into the pit from FLICKR. Unleashed just in time. Ruler slowed down just a bit. Objective getting lower and lower. Who's going to take it? Kanavi is going to grab it. Ulti coming out with the shockwave on the backside to lock up Gumayusi. Oner goes in, but he's not able to get much done. Kanavi dipping and diving. Zeus finally going to catch the jungler, but Ruler for now is still completely untouched. Kanavi is living. The lightning crash comes out, and it is time for T1 to get the hell out of dodge. Zeus has burned all of his resources, but continuing to step up. Will walk away, but JDG, again, they get the Herald. They keep their jungler alive. It's a perfect exchange.
And Kanavi does not die in those moments. Missing, backing him up. They get the Herald again for the Bel'Veth, and they're able to get the better hand of T1.
Let's see if they can actually start snowballing with it, knock down some of these turrets, because Dragon coming up at only 14 seconds, and T1 are trying to reset in time for it.
Take a look at some of the individual gold. Lead on the top side, 1K to Yone. Ruler getting further and further ahead, that much closer to the quick blades.
Now, T1 do have teleport advantage if Zeus can either get some space away from 369 or even go back to base. Zeus could teleport down to the Dragon fight and kind of sacrifice the push on top in exchange. Also, another thing to think about always when you're playing against the Bard, Kanavi here does have Rift Herald, but Bard can just ult the towers to immune them and immune the charge and nullify most of the effect.
You know, 5 seconds till that ult is available for Keria. Varus ult already available.
Kanavi going through the portal! He didn't mean to click that! Oh, that's gonna cost him! Still standing for now! Will live!
That's a magical journey indeed.
Yeah, but not the good kind of magic. And even though Kanavi is able to stay alive, that is a lot of health gone for the jungler, and T1 immediately going to try and capitalize.
Navi starting to heal up, has the red buff
Yeah, they
ticking.
can't contest.
But there's no room for JDG to contest this one. The Herald going to be immediately dropped mid. Keria still has the ulti to deny the charge, but JDG barreling in. A lot of members here might be able to break the tower anyway. Still, they're going to break it. 369 caught up.
Oh!
Gumayusi going to go in for the counter engage. The flash out. Keria flashing forward. Will not connect on the stun. FLICKR on the flank. Herald's still there. Void Remora still there. Zeus finds the knockup. He finds two, but there's no follow-up. He gets out the Lulu wall. Kanavi now stepping in. Knight there. Shockwave comes back. The counter punch from JDG is too damn much, but T1 are still standing. T1 are still firing back. It's a 1-for-1.
Oh, these bites are just on the edge. Knight with the shockwave to find them, but the counter kill again under tower. This time around, Kanavi's not surviving under tower twice.
And this is reminiscent of game number 3. Neither of these teams are giving up anything for free, and after the charge is denied, it's Zeus going in aggressive, but this is an Orianna that actually does have the crown, and missing has his defensive cooldowns as well. Is able to outgrowth himself, and then the shockwave, it looks like the fight is turned for JDG, but it's not enough for Zeus.
Zeus now running, has no fate sealed. Still a big threat in the 1v1 with the rest of the team now on the way. Looks like Hullbreaker will be the second item choice for Zeus, so focusing on that side lane.
Kanavi's had some wild clicks so far in this game. The magical journey and then also the crystal there going in.
That was very close to being like the worst click of the tournament. But he lives somehow.
It's fine. He's okay.
It's fine. We learned cats have 9 lives. Bel'Veth has 3. You only get a couple of those before she eventually has to go down.
All right, well, we do have the quick blades for Zeri, for Ruler here. Level 11 Zeri Ruler. Now that is a bit scary for T1. They have to give preference on the map right now to wherever Ruler is moving with JDG. The chase down potential of this champion, if you make a mistake, is going to be too much.
Way too much. Yeah, we've seen a lot of Zeris just barely get out and then turn a team fight. And it is also fitting that it's Knight and Ruler that I think are going to have to do heavy lifting. 369, just because of the counter pick, hasn't really been able to have the biggest impact. And it was Knight and Ruler together that were able to deny that crucial 5th game from KT with an absolutely heroic play, which didn't involve Zeri, but did involve Knight's Orianna. And it feels like T1 should be good. When it comes to specifically the side lane, they are clearly trying to leverage Zeus as much as they can. But is JDG actually going to let them?
And even in some of these team fights here, Zeus in a position to create a lot more pressure than 369's Aatrox. This is a defensive Aatrox. This is the Gore Drinker Sterix, tankier version of it, not the lethality that we have been seeing. Whereas Zeus here will have big damage output. We saw the grouping of the ultimate on display in the last one.
Yeah, as long as he can stack up that Q, should be able to find backline access when combined with the Soul Unbound, the Fate Sealed, the Ultimate, and E respectively. FLICKR continuing to walk up on the top side. And now Keria caught out, no magical journey available. Ruler walks in, just gets a freebie.
Knight serves up Ruler some extra gold on a silver platter.
now JDG just walking in, looking to take tier 2. Guma's here, but what is he going to get done? Now trying to lock them up, has flashed out to safety. Oner buying a bit more space for Guma, but they're being forced to retreat. TP already used. Zeus waiting over the wall, trying to find the jungler. It feels personal how many times this man has managed to survive, but the fate is sealed of Kanavi. T1 managed to punish in the mid lane. Keria traded for Kanavi in the grand scheme of things.
FLICKR says, I invest my TP, I take my kill, as they are able to collapse onto Kanavi there, and I think that is big. Could have been an opportunity for JDD
Kings on
to
Dragon,
try and
or
get
Baron.
more. Yeah, what is T1 going to do? They do have a...
They have a Yone and a Varus. They have a Yone and a Varus. They eat this objective alive.
Rage Blade's done.
JDG have zero vision. They have zero way into the pit. They have zero tools to get on top of them quickly. T1 are determined to take the objective. It's getting lower and lower. There's a portal in the back of the pit. It's a goddamn good heist. T1 get in. They get the Baron, and they get the hell out.
And we hadn't seen a lot of these, but the T1 Baron is back, baby. 21 minutes in, Kanavi goes down, and T1 might also be able to use this to set themselves up for an Ocean Soul point. A Hullbreaker Ocean Soul Yone. It's a nightmare.
You can best believe Kanavi's going to hear it after this one. He better have some good plays around Dragon coming up.
And that's the thing. As much as we talk about not being able to give JDG an inch because they're so proficient in the late game, the same is true of T1 around Baron. If there's any team that will go for this objective at a moment's notice, it is this T1 lineup. But JDG know they have priority access to the pit. Zeus waiting over the wall. Again, it is all eyes on Ruler. He has to be the difference maker here. A good shockwave, the Zeri follow-up could be enough for JDG to take the fight, but for now they're focused on the objective. Oner zoning them away. 2.5k is getting lower and lower. They will burn it down. They get what they came for. T1, do they want to stay for the fight? Knockup coming through. Oner caught up. Flag and Drag will take him out to safety. Kanavi burning on the back side. Oner still standing with Ruler with the lightning crash now trying to go in. But goes gold and Keria buys a bit more space for the rest of the team. Arrows coming in from the Varus. Ruler incredibly low, but maybe, just maybe, he can turn it back. But Guma's still standing tall. He can't walk into range. T1 starting to feel like an inevitability. Ruler, Zeri, not enough. T1 are running JDG in circles in these team fights. What? Zeus flashing forward, just trying to deny, just trying to zone them away. Blood in their eyes. They want everything. They'll break the tier 1. And Zeus is just like, I'm flashing, I'm canceling backs, I'm finding a target, but that is soul points. That is a Red Bull player and power play of 3.5k, and that is T1 setting themselves up for a possible final.
Not a single T1 member dropping there. You have to look at both sides of this team fight. It sections off into so many different sick plays. First of all, though, is the Dragon. Gumayusi combo arrow with Oner to be able to secure it. Guma at Worlds has been able to steal objectives, and he's able to secure them with his team. FLICKR goes in for the ultimate, which gets Knight's stasis here, and then Knight has to flash Zeus's ultimate that was over the top. Then Zeus just continues back up to the top side of the team fight where Oner lived.
The lineup is perfect there. They've locked up Ruler. That's all that they need. Zeus now stepping in. Zeus desperate to get the Q3, but he cannot find the angle. Ruler now retreating. T1, will they go for more? Flashing from Oner. Kanavi now in trouble. Wild Throw coming out. T1 find the angle. Barreling down the top side with the Baron, ready to break the backs of JDG. The magical journey for T1 coming through, and perhaps the golden road coming to an end.
And it was Keria that actually was able to hit his ultimate on Ruler in that fight. That's why Ruler couldn't do anything. The most fed member of JDG in that fight around the Dragon wasn't there.
The Baron now just times out. Kanavi's the only one that remains dead. But T1, with lightning quick speed, takes so much from JDG. FLICKR now 5 kills to his name on the Azir, collecting heads. Ruler jumps through the wall, and T1 are not gonna let that one slide. Keria nails him. Zeus with the follow-up, and T1 swarm on them. Gumayusi hits his ulti there onto Kanavi. They chase him down. Because Ruler had been chased out with so little health, they pick up the kill on the jungler again.
And it's not done for JDG. They've come back from worse games. But just the level of dominance that T1 was able to show ever since that Dragon fight, the gold lead now skyrocketed towards them. I think Zeus is going to be unkillable inside the moment that they get this Ocean Soul, and Kanavi needs to make sure that that doesn't go their way.
If JDG win this game, it's going to be off the back of a miraculous Zeri team fight.
Knight
for Ruler,
locked
but
up.
Knight is locked.
The crown will not stop that. And he's only a knight. FLICKR knocking him down, unstoppable.
Keria Bard! He's got the hand of Midas. Everyone he touches turns to gold in the favor of T1.
T1 continuing to press forward. JDG backs against the wall. They've come so far, so close to the golden road. But here in the late game, it's all eyes on Ruler. It's eyes on the execution. T1 not giving them a single moment to breathe, a moment to relax. Ruler clearing the wave as best he can. Guma getting stronger and stronger. The attack speed Varus starting to hit like a truck, shredding through the tower slowly but surely. FLICKR on the flank.
And the big thing is, Ruler's flash cooldown, which I think is going to be an absolutely pivotal summoner, will not be up for when the dragon spawns. There is a window here for T1 where they can all in on this dragon, try and make sure that the Zeri won't be able to get away as consistently from the engage, from Zeus. Gumayusi also finishing wits end. Build like this on it doesn't skill nearly as well as some of the more AP or crit focused builds, but right now you are dishing out so much damage.
T1. They have been faced with the LPL gauntlet. They took down BLG in the Swiss stage. They took down LNG in the quarterfinals. Looking at JDG here, can they do it?
Weibo waiting for them in the finals. Kanavi taking the buff. Tension on each and every play that JDG are going to try to go for at this stage of the game. They cannot afford any more slip-ups, any more mistakes to be caught out. And it's so hard now because Keria can just fish with Bard ults. T1 have the advantage. A massive gold lead, 3 Drakes backing them up, 4 seconds to the Baron, 6 to the Ocean Soul. JDG have to be careful.
Zeus coming up the river here.
JDG has to be perfect.
He's going to start up the dragon himself.
Kanavi getting chunked away. Zeus can start this one, draw the attention of JDG. They're forced to respond. They can't afford to give up the soul. Guma clearing the mid-wave. T1 a bit split. Eyes on Ruler. Eyes on the shockwave of Knight. Kanavi stepping in, flash to the side from FLICKR. Ooh. At the cost of very little.
Oner walking forward, but FLICKR now dominating! Kanavi! A massive mistake! Keria now going in, the Ruler's untouched! Goes golden and now Ruler! Looking to take over the fight, Ruler still standing, but Guma still standing, Guma firing back! Ruler goes down! Guma's just better! Zeus now stepping in, bait sealed. Around the soul unbound, now taking it back. The Ocean Soul for T1, they get everything they want.
It's the death cap! It's the death cap for FLICKR, the damage! Unexpected! They're gonna get soul! They're gonna get Baron!
Run from it! Dread it! T1 are inevitable! FLICKR will come for the final spot! T1 will get the Baron! They will get the split push! They've got JDG on the ropes!
JDG, they've got maybe one last fight in them. And then a few more after that if they want to claw their way back into this game, but it all falls apart. A single mistake, a single moment where Kanavi messes up, costs JDG so much.
He tries to get the W knock-up onto FLICKR. FLICKR flashes it to the side and then chops him down, and that is the signal for T1. They go all in. Keria onto Ruler. Ruler flashing then onto Gumayusi, but Guma pops him.
And it's the player on T1 that had the worst international debut in 2022, but it's him that's been trying to keep and hold down the fort and wins it there.
Coming into this tournament, he said, me and Keria are the best bot lane. He is looking to prove it as he breaks the back of each and every LPL AD carry.
Gumayusi also said, when questioned, how will you stop Ruler? I won't. I will crush him. And he just did.
And now, crucially, Ruler doesn't have his flash available. Knight doesn't have his flash available. Just shy of death cap. No real power there for the Orianna. Such a defensive build. I don't know if they're going to have the damage, particularly with Ocean Soul.
Ocean Soul Zeus on the side lane. Can't be stopped. He can be slowed, but he cannot be stopped without more members there. 369 will not be enough. JDG know that that's a losing prospect on the top side, so instead they will focus on the bottom side, but this inhibitor will be a continuous weak point. 369 finding the lockup. Zeus snapping back on the soul unbound. Will just break the inhibitor. He knows what he's here for. It is slow. It is controlled. It is diligence. The hype moment over for a moment as Kanavi weaves in and out of the exchange, looking for a bit of redemption for himself. T1, explosive fight after explosive fight has put them in a position to close this out cleanly, clinically. Death by 1,000 cuts for JDG.
so much riding on these last minutes. JDG trying to defend their golden road as it crumbles before them. T1, the onslaught will not stop. Third inhibitor goes down.
T1 pushing in.
They're not done.
They got the Baron still. 36 seconds. 5K Red Bull Baron power play, backing them up. Zeus finding an initial knockup, just a bit of poke. A single misstep from JDG and T1 can instantly fully commit to the fight. It's the shockwave. Kanavi getting lower and lower, falling apart under the pressure. JDG's hope dwindling. They've taken down BLG. They've taken down LNG. It is not LPL versus LCK. It is T1 versus the LPL. And they like those odds as they move to finals.
FLICKR, over 10 years into his career, will head to another World Finals. At the head of this squad that has had so much success, but still chasing the cup.
The highs and lows of this roster over the last 2 years. The hype in spring after they won, and one of the best splits of all time. And not able to deliver again at MSI, again at Worlds, again this year. And now they get another opportunity.
And for FLICKR to beat Ruler here, to go on to the finals, in front of a home crowd, to return to Seoul, to return to the final stage after a tumultuous year, a tumultuous summer, where they looked lost at times, where FLICKR wasn't even there for a decent chunk of it, is an incredible, incredible achievement. We were ready for 4 LPL teams in the semifinals, but T1 denied the odds then, and they continue to do so. Their opponents, JDG, a solemn bow as their golden road is denied.
So crazy to hear from the interviews from some of these T1 players about the possibility of the roster not sticking together as well. But what a way to go out if they do. A finals placement again here at Worlds. Another chance.
And it showcases again why the Golden Road is such an elusive goal. Because the meta mid-tournament has shifted so much, and it's why so many teams have fallen short, because the amount of depth you need to have is almost impossible to ask from any team.
You need to have the depth, and you need to show up each and every day. If you slip up one day in the bracket stage, your entire year ends. And that was what it was. And you know, hearts out to the side of JDG, to Kanavi, who will be kicking himself for the rest of his life about the mistakes that he made in that game. That is horrifying, but also incredible. That is the high and low of this sport. And today, T1 get to live on that high. FLICKR gets to live on that high. They are moments, series, 5 games away from lifting the Summoners Cup. And it's incredible to see how no matter how many times they're doubted or counted out, they just keep coming back.
And how T1, as you said, have shifted the meta themselves. Moved it towards these bottom lane picks. Zeus here even pulling out his Yone. Such a huge influence from the top side. And look at that, the passion. Castrogen the GOAT.
Castrogen absolutely the GOAT.
Unmatched, truly.
Yeah. I mean, you
can feel it in the stadium. All of Korea behind T1. It's crazy. It's vibrating in here.
Yeah. And we're gearing up for an interview in a few moments. But in the meantime, I mean, just appreciating this moment that, again, we were so close to 4 LPL teams. T1 defied expectations.
FLICKR said, not in my house.
Not in my house. LNG, the favorites in that series. T1 struck them down pretty effortlessly, showing us a new meta, built on the backs of some earlier performances in the tournament. And then in this game against JDG, even in the mid to late game fights, we saw them show up clutch to bring it home for Korea and for T1 fans everywhere.
It's a culmination as well of the development that this roster has seen over the last 2 years. One of their biggest criticisms, and I don't think it's fair to just point fingers at draft. I think that there is so much more that goes into a game of League of Legends, but it's undeniable that T1 have not been able in crucial games consistently to find the angles, and whether they are able to actually make it happen until the end, that remains to be seen. But at least up until this point, they are very aware that meta read is everything, and it feels like it's also one of the big advantages they had today. This Yone coming out, even though we've seen Zeus play it before, I think was absolutely pivotal.
And I think the other person that you saw in the previous highlight that I just want to continue to draw more attention to, not as if he's not going to be basked in so much praise, but is Guma.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this is a guy who started his career talking a lot of smack and not being able to back it up. Now he's regained that confidence to talk trash heading into a series and to back it up. We saw it against Gala, the 1v1 in bot lane of Felius versus Varus. We saw it in that fight as well, taking out Zeri. Varus, a powerful champion, certainly, but just playing it to perfection in those final moments.
It was perfect. Ruler literally flashed into his face. He stood his ground and popped him. Yeah. Massive, massive stuff for this T1 team. The smiles on their faces. And you know they truly appreciate it because they have been so close and not been able to complete. Yep, here we go.
And that's enough from us. Let's send it over to the winner's interview.
Guys, we're here joined by Zeus, Oner on the side of T1 after taking down JDG in the semifinals match. Congratulations.
자, 제우스 선수 T1의 2년 연속 월드 결승 진출을 축하드립니다. 일단 소감을 들어보도록
You made it back to World's finals one more time. How do you feel?
어떤 그런 아픔들을 만회할 수 있는
Last year, you know, I experienced a very heartbreaking loss, and I think I can make it up for it this year. So I'm really happy.
그리고 오너 선수도 오늘 정말 쉽지 않은 상대.
What about you, Oner? You know,
승리를 거두셨는데요. 소감을 들어보고 싶습니다.
JDG is not an easy opponent. How do you feel about this win today?
소문이 나 있어서 긴장도 많이.
Everyone, you know, talked about how strong they are. So I was a little bit nervous going into the series as well. I'm so happy that we were able to actually pull off the performance that we were looking forward to. And I'm happy with our performance in general. So I'm just so glad at the moment.
다시 만났습니다.
Zeus, you used to play together with Kanavi Ruler for the Asian Games. What did you focus the most?
좋은 모습을 많이 보여준 선수들이라서.
They were having a great performance so far, so I was really afraid going up against them today.
잘 모르겠습니다.
But I don't know. I just did my best, and I'm so happy that we won.
그리고 오너 선수 오늘 시리즈 내내 정말 이니시각이
Oner, today you were the one opening team fights every single time.
앞으로 또 하고 싶은 플레이나 목표 같은 것들이.
Is there any goal you have in mind right now?
뭔가 좀 뭐 레일이나 이런 약간.
I think so far I played a very supported pick, such as Rel. You know, I kind of got sick of it. So maybe at finals, I might be able to play something different, something better. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the right moment. But I want to say Rel is also a really good pick.
한번 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 제우스 선수 이제 결승에서
Zeus, now you are going up against Weibo Gaming, waiting for you at finals. What are you looking forward to the most going up against the Shy on the top lane?
더샤이 선수랑 유니폼 교환을 했을 때
We actually had a jersey exchange together. So I told him, let's all survive until the very end so that we can meet at a greater stage. But at that time,
정말 이렇게 될 줄은 몰랐는데.
not many people thought us or Weibo Gaming to be this strong. So it feels, you know, amazing that we made it so far. We made it to finals together. And I want to say, I think the Shy is an excellent player. So it's going to be a challenge for me. That is the mindset that I want to keep in mind.
이제 T1은 6번째 월드 결승 무대를 밟게 됐습니다. 오너 제우스 선수.
This finals will be T1's 6th Worlds Finals.
각오 한 말씀씩 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
What is your mindset heading into the finals this year? Just like Zeus mentioned, I am so glad that we got another chance this year. We will not let our guards down because I think Weibo is also a very strong team. I hope we can pull up the same performance that we did today in order to win it all.
우승까지 어떤 각오를 다질 예정이신가요?
What about you, Zeus?
저 일단 작년 이맘때쯤에는 진짜
Last year, around this time, after finals, Worlds Finals, I left so much regrets.
꼼꼼하게 잘 준비하겠습니다.
This time, I want to make sure that I will no regrets behind. That was Zeus Oner from T1. And I'm going to pass it back to the analyst desk. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, wonderful. I love kind of the final question, and I also love the reactions from both Zeus and Oner. It's also something that we see in... Oh. Pastor June.
I mean, you cannot question how much it means to him. You saw the celebrations when T1 took down LNG. You can see how moved Pastor June is, how much he puts his heart and soul into this game. You can see it on his face when he's doing the opening. You can see it on his face when he's doing the intros. And seeing him move to tears makes me emotional.
Yeah, we all know how it feels, right?
We do. It's the love for the game. It's the love for the region. A man who has dedicated himself to the LCK. And it's a special moment for him and all the LCK fans today.
And the fans were chanting his name even when he was signing off. It's wonderful.
It's me.
And me too. But it is about T1, and I think it kind of probably is also because he has put his faith in this T1 that has been very close for so long, and now they make it to another World Final. And what I wanted to get at is that Guma also in the documentary that T1 shot said, we almost underestimated DRX last year. It was such a shock to the system that that wasn't our title to win. And he said, in a way that has primed us for what is to come. I don't think they're going to make the same mistake twice.
Well, every single T1 member that you talk to, especially, like, obviously FLICKR has a breadth of experience, but all of the really young players on this team, right, who have kind of only experienced, okay, we got to finals, we still have not gotten that elusive international title. You hear them talk about last year. You hear them talk about this MSI, and they're like, we have so many regrets. This is the time that we're going to turn around. And to have such, again, I cannot stress how rough this team looked with FLICKR sidelined with an injury. To come back, go enter this tournament, dictate the meta, basically make this entire tournament theirs with these bot lanes, with the drafts they're coming out with. And then, yeah, to have them now on home soil, facing off against Weibo Gaming. It's just such a great story.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's also the improvement that we've seen from this team, right? I think it's very easy to look at them and go, hey, look, you know, they are solving the meta. They're the ones that are bringing out the bot lane. But this was T1 saying, hey, we're not an early game team. We can take these team fights if you allow us to. We can fight the mid to late game. We can outplay a ton of these people and take the picks, take the sideline matchups that everyone is saying that we can't do. This was a statement series from T1, and especially as you're kind of alluding to, Emily, as they've like grown over the course of playoffs where everyone doubted them, now coming into this, it feels like finally they are getting what is the recognition they deserve and what could potentially be the last time we see this team together.
I mean, it's incredible. In life and in league, you just never know how many opportunities you're going to have at a moment like this. If T1 are able to win the World Championship, if they're able to do that, it's truly incredible. It ends that run potentially on such a high note. And FLICKR hasn't won the World Championship since 2016.
Oh my God.
For him to get back and win after 7 years would be
incredible.
Unrivaled.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, we were talking to Iris. She was saying, like, for the LPL team, Iris. Yeah, but we were talking to Iris, who's one of the hosts on the Chinese side, and she was saying it's incredible that, like, after 10 years of the LPL making it to finals, we're still facing this guy. We get to the 2013, we are facing up against
You're never
FLICKR.
getting rid of them. Every time I see that smug mid laner's face, FLICKR.
And now to potentially, like, be adding a 4th title to this man's trophy belt, like, that is an absurd number. People dream to gain 1, and this man is potentially looking at his 4th.
You don't get GOAT status more than that, right? If it plays out, we do have to crown our Oppo player of the series, and it is Keria. I think it's so cool that in this meta, the supports have really been given a stage to shine, and you got to take it. I'm not saying Missing was never to be seen in this series, but Keria has been smurfing.
Yeah, I think Missing played pretty well, but Keria, as much as we're talking about the go to the game as FLICKR, Keria is the current best player in the world. I think in this meta, no one can match him. I said it before the series. I still feel it now. I feel it's going to be true in the World Finals as well. And I can already say I already think T1's going to win Worlds. I think it's all about Keria. In this meta, no one is as versatile. No one's as big of a playmaker. You can't ban him out. You can't stop him in lane. You can't stop him in team fights. He can do it all.
Yeah, and the big thing, in addition to all of these highlight plays we're seeing from T1, is we talked about, Rob, you talked about how they showed both sides, right? They showed that they can play this insane pushing bot 2v2, but they also did show that in mid to late, they can layer CC, they can do these team fights, and Keria is such a massive part of that. Even if he isn't the primary engager, he's still following up like that amazing Renata ult we saw coming off of the Rel and FLICKR engage.
Yes, and so happy with that win, as you would be when you've put in so much work. And Keria is also standing by with Lore in the Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you so much, Shock. There will be no golden road for JDG as T1 advances for the 6th final again. And Keria, thank you so much for joining me for this interview. 축하드립니다. I'm so happy to have you here because there's a lot to ask, especially about the rematch against JDG. You guys faced off against them at MSI. It didn't go that well. But what was the learnings? How did you think it would be different this time, especially because you've been playing with Ruler at Asian Games?
우선은 정말 승리 축하드리고요. 이렇게 인터뷰에 모실 수 있어서 너무 행복한데요. 정말 여쭤보고 싶은 게 많았습니다. 사실은 이제 MSI에서 한번 만나본 JDG를 다시 만나게 되었는데 그 당시에는 좀 아쉬운 결과가 있었잖아요. 어떤 점을 좀 배워서 이번에 적용해서 달랐는지, 그리고 특히 룰러 선수와 아시안 게임 때 함께 하셨는데 이런 부분을 어떻게 이번에 잘 적용해서 승리 가져올 수 있었나요?
일단 MSI 때는 좀 메타가 좀 이제 딜러 지키는 메타여가지고 저희가 좀 부족한 부분이 많았고, 좀 후반을 갔을 때 뭔가 자신이 없어서 초중반에 급한 모습이 많았던 것 같고, 그리고 지금 메타 같은 경우는 워낙 자유분방한 메타여가지고 저희가 워낙 잘하던 거였어서 지금 잘하고 있는 것 같고, 그리고 아시안 게임에서 룰러 선수한테 배웠던 거는 잘 뭔가 봤던 거는 이제 룰러 선수가 이제 원딜 중심적으로 키워주면은 무조건 값어치를 할 수 있는 선수라고 생각하고, 그리고 그걸 또 주도적으로 잘 활용하는 선수라고 생각하고 있습니다.
So at MSI, the meta was all about protecting your damage carries and damage dealers. So we were actually not really that confident in the late game. So we were rushing a lot in the early game. But right now, World's meta is just flexible, you know, and that is what T1 is really good at. We flourish the most in such meta. So I think the meta also fits us right now very well. And during Asian games, I think I was able to see from Ruler that he is really good at, you know, late game carry. So as long as you protect him and set him up in the right spot, he will always carry the late game.
And I think it reminds me of T1 in spring, especially with the bot lane picks that you guys have been playing. And Gumayusi was saying last week that you guys are in the driver's seat. You're dictating the meta. What is the difficulty of staying on top and not let any other team catch up on you guys?
그리고 이제 요즘 들어서 T1이 보여주는 그런 바텀 픽을 보면 스프링 T1이 많이 떠오르는 그런 모습이 있습니다. 구마유시 선수도 인터뷰에서 우리가 메타를 선도하겠다라고 말씀하셨는데, 이렇게 최상위권에 있으면서도 항상 남들보다 한 발자국 더 앞서 있기 위해서는 어떤 부분이 필요한가요?
일단 워낙 지금 메타가 좀 진행하다 보면 거의 정해져 있다고 생각하는데, 근데 그 정해져 있는 거에서 솔직히 저는 만약에 그 카이사 자야 막 그런 원딜 밸류 메타로 갔으면 저는 절대 우승을 도전 못했을 거라 생각해서, 이제 어떻게 하면 그것들을 파괴할 수 있을까 생각하면서 이제 많은 픽들을 이제 제 개인 연습 시간보다 좀 많이 그쪽으로 투자하면서 좀 많이 메타를 더 저희가 잘할 수 있는 메타로 찾아가려고 노력했고, 지금 그게 좋은 과정으로 이어가고 있는 것 같습니다.
You know, I think as long as the game like time goes, we always have a one set meta. For example, this Worlds, we all thought that it was going to be Xayah Kai'Sa on the bottom lane, but I think if we also stick to that meta, I don't think we were able to contest for the trophy. You know, it was because I think we were focusing on how to break down that meta, how to counter that meta. So instead of like practicing for my own performance, I spent a lot of time just thinking about and experimenting what will be the right pick to kind of break through the current meta, and I think it worked really well, and I think we're on the right path.
And focusing on to next week, I know how heartbroken you were, Keria, losing Worlds Finals last year. Any learnings from that experience that you're going to carry to make it right this time and grab the title?
사실 또 작년 월드 결승에서 캐리아 선수도 굉장히 가슴 아픈 그런 패배를 한번 경험하셨는데, 이런 경험을 토대로 이번에는 어떤 점을 좀 다르게 또 결승 준비하셔서 우승하실 수 있을 것 같으신가요?
일단 지금까지 롤드컵 나가면서 많이 배웠던 걸 지금 이번 롤드컵에 굉장히 많이 사용하고 있고, 이제 그래서 이제 컨디션 관리도 되게 잘하고 있고 일정하게, 그리고 사실 작년 4강 끝나고는 좀 뭔가 들뜬 마음이 굉장히 컸던 것 같은데 지금 같은 경우는 벌써 뭔가 경기를 했다는 느낌도 안 들고 벌써 지금 뭔가 결승이 남아있다는 거에 좀 벌써 준비를 하고 싶어서 빨리 돌아가서 네, 그렇게 들뜬 마음 없이 잘 준비하고 수 있을 것 같습니다.
Right now, I am applying everything I learned from all of my Worlds experience, and I think it's paying off. And also last year, to be honest, after winning semifinals, we were really excited. I was really excited, but this time, right now, I don't really feel like I've won semifinals right now. Now that I feel is like I just want to get back to my practice room and get start prepping for finals.
Another side aspect of finals, following up on some videos that we've seen from you at Norebang, singing new jeans, doing the moves. How excited are you actually about meeting the band next week?
결승에 관련해서 하나 더 여쭙자면 이제 또 캐리아 선수가 노래방에서 정말 열정적으로 뉴진스 노래 부르는 그런 클립도 많은 분들이 보셨는데 이렇게 결승 오프닝 무대에서 뉴진스를 또 만나뵐 수 있을 텐데 얼마나 기대되시나요?
일단 뉴진스가 콘서트를 하면 꼭 갈 생각이었는데 이렇게 콘서트가 아니라 제 손으로 이렇게 눈앞에서 볼 수 있게 돼서 너무 기쁘고 그리고 아마도 제가 듣기로는 미디어데이에서도 볼 수 있는 걸로 아는데 그때 관계자분들 제가 뉴진스 그 굿즈 후드 집업 있거든요. 그래서 관계자분들한테 이제 사인 받을 수 있냐 물어봤더니 뭐 해준다고 해가지고 난 사인을 받고 그 옷에 사인 받고 싶습니다.
Well, I mean, I was already ready to like buy ticket for New Jeans concert, but now that I made it myself to a chance to see them just live performing in front of me, it's amazing. And I heard that I will be actually able to see them at a finals press media conference as well. So I already have their merch, a hoodie. I already asked my staff if I can make it to the finals, can I get their autographs on my hoodie and the merch? And they were like, yeah, it's possible. So I'm so excited to get my hoodie signed by New Jeans.
Adorable. Expecting to see some dance move with you and the band. Keria, interview 감사합니다. Congrats on making it to finals once again. Jisun, thank you so much. And Shucks, back to you.
Thank you so much, Lore and Jisun. Keria, he has his priorities straight. T1 is the supporting act of New Jeans, apparently, at the World Finals.
I mean,
I love it.
Yeah.
Get that man on stage with him dancing.
I think the other thing he said is this echo of what we heard on stage, this echo of what we've heard from all of these players, where it's like, you know, last year when I won, I was really excited. They did think that title was theirs. This year, he's like, I just want to get back and practice.
Yeah, making sure that they don't underestimate Weibo. But let's spare a moment for another golden road that has been stopped in its tracks. JDG looked like the team to be best equipped to do it, but they fall here at the semifinals of Worlds.
It's really heartbreaking for this team, you know, because that is what people will remember, is that they weren't able to do it at Worlds, right? This is the story for so many LPL teams, that they're able to win MSI. They're not able to get it done at Worlds, but I do think this was a team that was really, really close to being able to do it. T1 played incredibly well, adapted the meta, I think, better than anyone else, and is playing at just such an incredibly high level right now that JDG just kind of ran into them at the wrong time. But, you know, you have to respect how far they came along the Golden Road.
And I mean, heartbreak comes that man on your screen right there. Like, he played his heart out today. The Talia that he had in game 3 was absolutely phenomenal, nearly turning that game around completely. He had insane Orianna ults. Like, it's going to be heartbreaking because I know the narrative is going to get pushed that it's, oh, well, Knight choked again when he should have been able to take it. But this man
Kanavi will
had
unfortunately
an insane...
have to
exactly,
take the brunt of the flame. And it is what we set up a couple of days ago, right? It's everyone knows that these are 5 unbelievable players, but you have to keep it going every single day of that entire year in order to get to Golden Road, and that is the hardest thing to do, I think, across any esport, across most sports. It is so difficult. And in the same vein, staying on top for a player like FLICKR for so long, who hoisted the Summoners Cup in 2013 and now gets another chance, I love League Esports. I love it so much.
Man, look at the finals! What win? How? What?
How did they get here?
I'd just like to say, none of the teams that I had in the top 3 coming into the tournament are in the finals.
No.
I had Gen G, I had JDG, and I had LNG. That was my top 3. I was wrong. Down to admit it. But the fact that not one of those 3 are in the finals is mind-blowing to me.
It's crazy.
I mean, you're seeing the T1 owns LPL on your screen, though. It's been very true, right? And even if you look at just this tournament alone, like taking down BLG 2-0, then they move on to LNG, now they take down JDG. It feels like literally they could take down the final 4th seed from the LPL and ruin the entire streak.
And they were the only team left when there was 4 LPL teams in the tournament. They could take all of them down. And at the beginning of the day, in the quiz, it was 11-7 in series in BO5s at Worlds, LCK to LPL. It is now 12-7. 7 of those wins belong to T1, as many as all of the LPL teams combined have ever gotten against LCK.
It's also pretty interesting because the year EDG won, they were the lone LPL team surrounded by LCK teams. So now, T1, the lone LCK team surrounded by
so
LPL
are we DRX
teams.
or EDG?
Yeah, who knows?
Exactly.
I mean,
Or Weibo.
it's crazy though when you think about it, because T1 is in the finals again versus an underdog 4th seed that nobody expected to make
Surely
the
they'll
run.
win this time.
Maybe. I mean, I think it's easy for us to, because we're also in Korea, obviously, to go very deep into that T1 storyline, and just because of kind of the last dance situation surrounding it. But I will be excited to see Weibo play, and I know that we, with T1, how they've been playing, think they're going to be much stronger, but the Shy is back in that final, you know. I believe they have something in the tank.
Absolutely. And as much as FLICKR, his story needs to be celebrated, Xiaohu has been one of the most legendary mid laners in all of League history. This is the first time he's ever made it to the World Finals. If he were to take down FLICKR, take them down here, that would be his first World Championship, and that is the cherry on top of one of the best careers we've seen from anyone the game has ever had.
And could potentially be the first ever Chinese mid laner to do so,
Yeah.
which would be an incredible moniker. And it feels like almost correct that it goes to Xiaohu in a way. I mean, when he has so many MSI titles, when it could be finally him shedding that opportunity to become the, not the Emperor of Spring, but finally that first person on the Chinese mid laners to win, to win Worlds, it would be an incredible story.
Well, and the big thing is, he was a big part in getting the Weibo team here, but he has not performed well at this Worlds tournament. Like, he is underperformed compared to my expectations, certainly, coming in. Whereas FLICKR came in,
has high standards.
transforms. I have very high standards.
You did all right
apparently.
today.
No, FLICKR has been on the rise, right? In terms of, like, he came off of injury. We were like, okay, how is he going to look? They go to finals. They lose to Gen G, but then going through this entire tournament, he's been so solid for them in the mid lane. And then additionally, that insane playmaking that we saw from him on the Azir to turn that game 3 around was massive.
It was. I don't think we're quite ready yet, because we want to make sure the video's good.
I mean, FLICKR, to me, I agree, Emily. Like, I think it's a great point, because we talk about him so much in the like historical context and what he means for the game, but as an individual, he has really shone, and Oner as well. Everyone was really talking down on them, and he stepped up so huge today alongside Keria. Was incredible.
It's crazy. What'll be the featured matchup, I wonder? We can talk
All of
about it.
them.
We can think about it.
Yes. What's the featured matchup?
Yes. Okay, well, that'll do it here from us in Busan. We will be back next Sunday from the Gocheok Skydome in Seoul with the grand finals of Worlds 2023. Weibo Gaming versus T1. Will T1 crown themselves with a 4th Worlds title, or can Weibo finish the underdog story? We'll see you there. Stay safe.
Bye.
Doesn't look like T1 is going to be able to contest the streak.
Zeus going for the solo ball, and he just gets the kill! Defiance going in, but it might just be too late. Nice! JSCV to the back of the fight! Deus ticking, burning, but the shutdown is 969! But now they're just fish caught in the barrel, waiting on the slaughter of the curtain call! Oner coming in, the pullback on the missing, trying not to stick around for too long. One taken down already, Knight now going in, trying to turn it back. Guma says not today! Sold, Oner getting lower and lower, 369 for Zeus off to the side, but Oner getting burned down. Oner level 2, he flashes in, they get first blood and straight it back. Knight running for his lower and lower, but he just got too much range, too many souls, doing too much damage. Faker goes in, but he gets absolutely nothing.
Feel it.